The Rasputin people, like I said, no relation to Putin, other than they claim, some of them claim to be orphans, but they weren't really orphans. Well, I mean, a lot of them were. Some of them were orphans. They were just like this bad group that did drugs and were crazy, and it was this group. They disputed disputed everything. They were like this group digging at society. Anarchists would be another name for them. Anarchy people. They called themselves anarchy people, but really chaos people. They're basically just people that, I mean, realistically, they're just people that didn't want to go to jail and wanted to do as much damage as they could and didn't work, didn't do anything but steal and drink and basically pretend to be other groups. Like I said, even the gypsies were like, "Now you die." Even the gypsies were going after these people because these Rescue people or chaos people, they pretend to be gypsies. They pretend to be this. They pretend to be that. They pretend to be officials. They pretend to be police. They pretended to be gypsies. And gypsies were a very honorable, and very good group. The gypsies were real. The gypsies had real money and real power, and they were a real group, a traveling circus group that was really a good group. They would feed people. They would sew clothes. They would move into towns, and they would basically, they would just stop through a town, and they would even and sometimes like the gypsies would be in a town, and this one group or something bad would happen, and the gypsies were actually the ones that were like fighting like this other group that came to rob a town. And so you'll find this weird thing where the gypsies, I mean, they're from some other country, and they were just traveling through, doing their circus things. And like I said, the gypsies, if the gypsies would go around, because the gypsies had whatever they wanted, and they would just go by train, or they would go by carriages, and they just had carriages and trains, because I actually gave carriages. They were actually real groups that I was just like, here, go spread love and kindness throughout my land. And so these people were legitimately given these carriages, legitimately given these trains. So they're like, we did not steal. These were given to us. And it's like, yeah, I gave them that. So this legitimate group, and they would take care of their stuff, because it's like the Lord Lucifer Star gave you the stuff, and so they cherished it. A brand new train. A lot of them would be like, it's a brand new train. It's like, yep, it's a brand new train. Now go do your trade. And so these people would go, and they would go from town to town to town, and to make money, because I gave them some allowance, but I didn't, from the total amount of money or whatever. So these people, they would go and they would sew clothes, they would repair clothes, or they would mend shoes. They always picked up people as they went. Usually, like some people were like, well, I want to go to the next town, and they'd be like, okay, well, you're going to work for us, but yeah, so these traveling gypsies, they called them. Like they did steal somewhat, but they didn't really steal. Normally, most of the time they practice their trade. They would practice, they do pocketing for like show, be like, and stuff like that. But realistically, they just went from town to town, and they would do tricks, and they'd put on real performances, and they always had two or three good looking girls. And so they would, put on a show, whatever, and two or three guys would want to kiss the girls, or want to take the girls out, or want to keep the girls there. And the girls would be like, no, we have to go on, and the show must go on. So anyway, they were just really good looking people, and they were realistically really good people. I mean, they would just go from town to town to town, and like I said, sometimes like people would come to rob the town, or something bad would be happening, and the gypsies would be caught in the middle, and it's like, well, and a lot of the gypsies, they were practiced swordsmen and practiced gun people, and so they were just traveling together, like this big group of like probably 300 or 400 people, and they would just be traveling by a town. They'd be like, do you want us to come in, and all that other stuff, and they would always ask before they went in. And then they would ask for maybe a little bit of money, and I would always give them some amount of the tax money, like, here you go, here's 30, whatever. So they'd always put on this great big event for the town, like flyers and roses and all this and that kind of stuff. It was always really a fun event, and they filmed a lot of it too. So anyway, because spreading joy and spreading happiness across a country, you might think that it doesn't really matter, but in the whole, when you're actually doing it, it's part of what made LS Lucifer Star so great was the fact that I did all these little silly things, like the gypsies and the traveling circuses, and eventually, they get old and tired and they settle down, and then they build a playhouse or a theater or something like that, and then they stay there and they put on plays there, and people come to see them. Because of because you travel around the country, and then finally you go to a town, and people think, whatever happened to those people? And then they go and they travel, and there they are, and we do advertising and stuff like that. So a lot of the things, that's kind of like what made Lucifer Star America, Germany, what I was so powerful was just the populace and popular opinion and just the money, the kindness, and just the technology and everything. It was all these little pieces of my existence, pieces of the groups that I employed, that I had with me, that made up what was Lucifer Star, and all that. And it was really the kindness, the love, the caring, everything else like that. And that's really what, plus I'm the creator, so. Anyway, yeah, it's complicated, and it's really, and like I said, all the historical reports, there's some adjustment and some changing of the facts and some things where it's like, no, that's not really the way it was. It was actually like this, mostly because the black people are trying to hide, because the black people didn't have any of this stuff. They didn't have epic existence. They didn't have epic civilization. They didn't have epic mining. They didn't have epic anything. Like they from an early point in time turned their back on me, and for another, and then they were found out to be basically just thieves and basically people that just shot people and just tried the easy way. Like I said, a big old Aborigine warrior running and a little parasite dangling from the bottom as he runs along. And the parasite dangles. I can fly! Yeah, anyway, though, there's video of all this stuff. Like, ew, that's disgusting. A couple pills for you. but the Germans, they cleaned them out and got rid of the parasites and stuff like that. And the people felt better afterwards. Surgery and medicine and antibiotics, and also like things that would kill parasites inside of the human body. And like I said, that was Germany. That was me. So, because we had scientists and we had real people working for us. So, anyway, yeah. But that's LS Lucifer Star, me. So, anyway, part of what made my existence so epic. Anyway, yeah. And a lot of people don't really realize how the Titanic, I was using that money to help orphans. Like there's a lot of orphans and a lot of people that would work on my ships and work with my groups. Because, they were literally born on the Titanic. And plus, if you were born on sometimes I would let people that were born on the ships, it's like, oh, you were born on the Titanic? Okay, yeah, you can work on here. So, I mean, because sometimes the people would just stay, or the people wouldn't want to keep the children. And it's like, all right, you can stay with us. So there was actually a nursery on the Titanic. On some of my bigger ships, there was actually like a nursery of babies that were born, because sometimes the mothers would be like, well, I can't really take him with us. Could you hold him here? So we ended up with some children. Like I said, there's actually photographs on one of my ship of babies that were being born. There's actually like a hospital section to one of my ships. One of my bigger ships, there's actually like a hospital section of my ships where there's actually little babies. There's actually a hospital, there's like a nursing thing where people actually go to my ships to actually have proper care. Because like I said, on the Titanic, there was a proper doctor. So some people would be on my ships or be working for me or be around my ships, and they would happen to have a baby, so they would get proper care and shots. And so we would give them immunization shots too, and stuff like that. A lot of people would actually become my citizens, or would work, or would go to my ships because, modern day doctors, medicine, and they would hear about the medicine and everything else, like proper vitamins, proper this, proper that. That's also why a lot of people would flock to LS Lucifer Star, was basically just the modern day medicine and the modern day care that would be provided to them on the Titanic. So a lot of people would be like, you take a vacation, but you get dentistry. Like there's a dentist on the Titanic too, I think. In case you had a toothache while on the ship, because they'd be out at sea for like a month or two, or 3 months. So, and that's not enough time to get to shore. So sometimes we'd employ a real doctor, a real dentist. So a lot of people would actually, you get a ticket to go on my Titanic and get your teeth fixed. Because we'd offer care. It doesn't really cost that much to do that. So.